Hola y buenos días. Yo soy el señor Morris, el maestro de español. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Today we're going to review the things that we've talked about up to now in the unit, and then start to look at some more ways to answer the question, ¿Dónde vives? Today we'll answer as though we were speaking to someone from another state, and we'll start the lesson with a spelling dictation activity. But let's not forget our greeting song. It's always important to greet someone with a great deal of enthusiasm if you're in a Spanish-speaking culture. You know, if you see someone on the street, sometimes you'll just say, hi, or maybe just nod your head, Well, in Spanish-speaking countries, you'll want to stop and say, hey, hello, ask how things are going, ask about the person's family. In short, make a big deal about seeing someone. Make them know that you're really glad to see them. So I'm really glad that all of you are here, so let's go ahead and sing our greeting song. Canten conmigo. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo se sienten? Yo me siento bien. Muy bien cantado. Now, as I said, we're going to start today's lesson with a spelling dictation activity. So, saquen papel y lápiz o pluma para escribir unas letras. Okay. Ready? Now, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly again. You guys should be getting at a point where you can recognize these letters really well. Ready? N. N. Did you write down la N? Okay. O. O. La O. Ere. Ere. De restaurante. Ere. Ere. Can you guess what word we're spelling already? Let's see. Te. Te. De tío. La te. And finally, E. E de escuela. E. E. There you go. And put them all together and you get the word norte. Now notice that this has a capital, mayúscula. Mayúscula means capital because their cardinal and intermediate directions begin with capital letters. Okay? Very good. Well, I tell you what. Now, since you mentioned it, let's go ahead and review what we were talking about last time. Do you remember that? Los puntos cardinales e intermedios. We started off with los puntos cardinales, and here they are. Here are the letters. Do you remember these? Norte, and you should have these in your notes already. Este, okay? Sur and oeste. And those were the puntos cardinales. We also looked at los puntos intermedios. Intermedios are those in between, right? And we talked about noreste. Entre norte y este. Noreste. Sureste. Sureste. Okay? We talked about suroeste. Suroeste, that's the sur and oeste, and noroeste. Noroeste. Well, you know, all of those are really easy. Remember that we started this unit by talking about some of the answers to the question, ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? Okay? And these were the answers that we started off with. You can give a general answer describing the type of environment that you live in. You could say, vivo en, what is this one? Vivo en el campo. What is this one called? Vivo en un pueblo. Vivo en un pueblo. Or vivo en una ciudad. Are you guys getting these? You should probably know these pretty well. If you wanted to tell someone what type of building you lived in, you could say, vivo en, what is this? Un apartamento. Vivo en un apartamento. Or you could say, vivo en una casa. But you know what? These are not the only way that you can answer that question, are they? If you were talking to someone in another state other than the one you live in, you'd probably tell them the name of the state that you live in. For example, if I were in Georgia and someone asked me, Señor Morris, ¿dónde vives? Yeah, I would probably say, vivo en el estado de, and you see it over here? Yeah, here it is. I would say, vivo en el estado de Arizona. Vivo en el estado de Arizona. Well, I tell you what, let's practice this type of response. I'll ask you the question and you can answer according to the name of the state that I show you. You ready? ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? And here's the state that I want you to answer with. If I ask you, ¿Dónde vives? And you lived in this state, you'd say, vivo en el estado de Texas. Vivo en el estado de Texas. How about this one? ¿Dónde vives? And you live over here in this state. See, we're going to work on your map skills some today, guys. What state is this? Do you know it? Well, if I ask you, ¿Dónde vives? And you lived here, you'd say, vivo en el estado de Georgia. That's right. Well, I tell you what. You know what? If I was in Argentina and someone asked me, ¿Dónde vives? I don't know if they'd know where Arizona is. So I'd probably reply something like this. Vivo en los Estados Unidos de América. Repitan todos. Vivo en los Estados Unidos de América. Well, we've been talking about me enough. Me. Enough about me. Let's talk about someone else. Remember the first unit that we asked, ¿Cómo te llamas? Remember? I asked you, what is your name? And you would answer, Me llamo Roberto. Okay. But if I wanted to know your mother's name, I would ask, ¿Cómo se llama tu mamá? ¿Cómo se llama? Now, do you notice how the verb llama changes? It doesn't have the S like it does when I'm asking about you. So when I ask about you, I have an S on the end of the verb. And when I ask about someone else, I don't. So if I ask you, ¿Dónde vives? How do you think that I'm going to ask about someone else? Instead of saying, ¿Dónde vives? I will say, ¿Dónde vive? See, I took that S off. ¿Dónde vive? Where does someone else live? And to answer about someone else, you'd say, vive, and he or she lives in, and then say where it is. So let's give it a try, okay? I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'll show you the answer. Okay, and I want to see if you guys can figure it out. ¿Dónde vive tu tío? ¿Dónde vive tu tío? And if you look over here, this state, okay, it's up over here, it's real cold, is the answer. So if I ask you, ¿Dónde vive tu tío? And he lived in this state, how would you answer? Vive en el estado de Alaska. Do you see that? ¿Dónde vive tu tío? Where does your uncle live? Vive, he lives, en el estado de Alaska. Let's try another one. ¿Dónde vive tu abuela? ¿Dónde vive tu abuela? Okay, you remember, I'm asking about your grandmother here. ¿Dónde vive tu abuela? She's up here in this state. Do you see which state this is? Yeah. Do you know what it's called in English? It's a good way to learn is to go over these. Yeah. Well, the name of the state is Washington. Washington in Spanish. So if I ask you, ¿Dónde vive tu abuela? And she lived in this state, how would you answer? You'd say, vive en el estado de Washington. Vive, she lives, en el estado, in the state, de Washington. Of Washington. All right. Well, I'd like for everyone to go ahead now and review with this video while I get my activity sheet out. Ahora, presten atención y repitan todos. ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en un pueblo. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una ciudad.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el campo.
¿Dónde vives? Vivo en un apartamento. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una casa.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en los Estados Unidos de América. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el estado de Arizona. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el estado de Florida. ¿Dónde vive Miguel?
Miguel vive en el estado de California. ¿Dónde vive María?
María vive en el estado de Michigan. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el planeta. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el sistema solar.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en la Vía Láctea. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el espacio. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el universo. Well, you saw a lot of ways to answer the question that time. Did you see some new ones? Could you figure out what the answers mean? We'll see. We're going to be going over that stuff in our next class. I just want you to get a look at it. See if you can use your language skills, your innate language skills, to figure out some things on your own. Pero ahora, saquen la hoja de actividades llamada ¿Dónde vive? ¿Dónde vive? Yeah, that's the question that we were talking about today. Go ahead and start off by writing your name up at the top of the paper. Roberto, soy yo. Now the directions say look in the map, fill in the blanks using the key. Okay, so here's the map, and we see some different people here. Okay, Gloria, and you see what state she lives in? Washington. Isabel vive en California. Carlos vive en Arizona. Vicente vive en Texas. Y Juan vive en Maine. Juan vive en Maine. And you can see how we've included the cardinal and intermediate directions on this activity sheet. You're going to be needing this information. Okay? Well, let's go ahead and look down here at the questions. They start off by asking these sorts of questions, or these sentences which you're going to complete. Gloria vive en... Well, let's look and see if we can find her. Here's Gloria. She lives here. So let's look at our key. Gloria vive en el estado de... Here we go. Washington. So what you have to do is complete the sentence. Gloria vive en el estado de Washington. Okay. Now, if you live in one of these states, you got it pretty easy, because if anybody asks you, you've already seen the answer. If you live in one of the other states, see if you can figure out the answer for your state. And you'll have to find out where Isabel, Juan, Carlos, and Vicente live and write the answers for those. Now, down at the bottom, there are some other sentences that I'd like you to complete. And these are going to deal with the cardinal and intermediate directions. Gloria vive en el blank de los Estados Unidos. Gloria vive en el blank de los Estados Unidos. Okay? Well, let's look. Does she live in el noreste, sur, suroeste, oeste, or noroeste? What part of the country does Gloria live in? I would call this kind of the noroeste de los Estados Unidos. So all you have to do is write in here el noroeste. Noroeste de los Estados Unidos. Okay. Now, EEUU. That's because we call it the USA, United States of America. They call it the Estados, States, Unidos. Unidos. Estados Unidos, the United States. Now, since these are plural, they put two E's, E-E, and this is plural, so they put two U's, U-U. So that's why you see, when it says Estados Unidos in Spanish, they won't just put E-U, E-U-U, they put E-E-U-U, because it's plural. Yeah. Today, we reviewed the cardinal and intermediate directions and the answers to the question, ¿Dónde vives? And then we added some new information to answer that question with. And we talked about how we could answer that question about someone else, ¿Dónde vive? And vive en. Now, next class, we'll continue to look at some more ways to answer that question. Remember what you saw today? Pero ahora es hora de despedirnos. For our goodbye song today, let's sing Cielito Lindo. Canten conmigo. That's the one that goes, ay, 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 ay. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Help me out. Ay, 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 ay. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Good job. Remember to keep your notes current. Look over those notes. We'll add some more to them next class. Until then, adiós y hasta luego. Ay, ay, ay.